introduce our facilitator on this evening. His name is Mr. Ronnie Washington, and he is a representative from the TWC, or the Texas Workforce Commission. Some of you may be familiar with TWC. If not, I'm sure he'll let us know what TWC is and what they have to offer. And so again, please make sure you give him your undivided attention. Ask questions. If you do have questions, feel free to come off mute and ask your question, or if you feel more confident and you want to type your question in the chat, I will be monitoring that and make sure that we get those questions to Mr. Washington so that he might facilitate. So with that being said, Mr. Washington, have at it. Take over, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. How's everyone doing tonight? I'm happy to be here. And as Mr. Jenkins said, I'm with the Texas Workforce Commission. Now, a lot of times when people think of TWC, they think of, stuff like unemployment and things of that nature. But I'm with the education outreach team. And basically what we do is we work with students, parents, teachers, counselors all around the state, just helping them to understand the different types of career trends, educational pathways, the TWC tools and resources that they have access to help students be successful on their path, on their educational path and their career path. So that's what I do. And today, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're just going to be talking about how to start the planning process and some things to be thinking about for you and your students. I think it's mostly parents on here, but we might have some students too. But this is for parents and students. And also we're going to talk about some of the TWC tools and resources that you'll have access to that you can use to help yourself and your student. And we're just going to dive right into it. One thing that I do want to say is, I'm not just going to be sitting here talking at you the whole time. This can definitely be an interactive conversation. I know it's kind of difficult on Zoom in a virtual environment, but if you have any question at any point, feel free to drop it in the chat, or you can even stop me. You can unmute yourself and you can, just let me know you have a question, because some of these topics we can really drill down into and dive down into, because if you do have questions, I want to make sure that I try my best to answer those for you. I've been with the Texas Workforce Commission for about a year now, but prior to that, I worked 12 years in higher education. I worked for Austin Community College, but I've kind of been in the middle working with high school students at the community college, like as a recruiter and in student development and as an academic advisor. But I've also worked with a lot of programs that help students transition from the community college level to the four-year university level. So I have experienced high school, community college, and the university level. So I don't claim to know everything, but I do know a lot. So if you have any questions at all, I would love to engage in that conversation and answer your questions. But this sounds like an awesome program. I'm glad that this program exists for you all and you all are taking advantage of it, because it's definitely something that's needed. These conversations are much needed. So I'm going to share my screen with you all. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump right into it, and I'll probably get some more information from you all on kind of like where y'all at in the planning process. But Texas Workforce Commission, just in a nutshell, we help job seekers find employment. We help employers find qualified applicants, and we help communities achieve and sustain economic prosperity. You may have heard of our workforce solution offices. So those are local offices. They work with people to help them with, resume building, job searching, interview skills, things of that nature. So that's kind of what we do. But in your situation, we are talking about planning. How to get your student prepared for what's next after high school, right? And that can be a complicated and convoluted system sometimes, but if you break it down piece by piece, it's really not that difficult once you understand what your goal is. So one of the things that I definitely try to preach is plan with a purpose, right? So I know back when, I mean, not to date myself too much, but, back when I was coming up through school and, even my parents, it was kind of like, okay, you go to high school, graduate high school, go to college, get a bachelor's degree, and then go out and find you a good job. And that is a valid path, but in today's world, in today's education landscape, that is not the only, certainly not the only path. There's so many different options and ways to get there. Students can really customize their educational path and their career path in a manner that fits their lifestyle, their goals, their budget. And so it's a really good time to be coming through the educational system right now. So of course, one of the main things you need to determine is what type of degree or certificate do you need? So as my years working with a lot of college students, one of the things that I hate to see was, students, they went and got their bachelor's or a master's degree, only to find out the career field that they wanted to get in, the positions that they wanted, that it only required a certificate or an associate's degree, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing to, go to get extra education, but a lot of these students, they ended up with, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in student loan debt. And so it's kind of like, you don't want to overpay for education that's not really required for what it is that your student wants to do, right? So as you're doing your research on the types of occupations, you want to make sure you pay attention to the education requirements. And later on in this presentation, I'm going to show you where you can find a lot of that information. So you definitely need to be specific about the degree need. I'll give you another example. There are changes in kind of like the education landscape, especially when it comes to the STEM field, the tech field. Companies like Google and Facebook and Amazon and any kind of tech company, there's this new trend, and they're saying that they're not requiring their employees to get bachelor's degrees anymore, right? And a lot of them, they're actually creating their own education and training programs to send their employees through, instead of going to a traditional university to get their bachelor's degree. And some of those are really high paying jobs. So that's just an example of things that you can take a look at to see, what kind of degree do I actually need? Though you definitely don't want to waste time and money if it doesn't match the career field that your student is wanting to get into. And secondly, there's all kinds of different paths that we have now, right? A lot of us have heard about dual credit in early college, high school. And remember, this is all about helping your student obtain, reach their goal in the most efficient way possible. So for example, the dual credit programs, you can get a lot of college credits in high school and you don't have to pay for it. Right. So when your student graduates from high school, they can then continue on with their associate's degree, or they can transfer those credits to a four-year university, and you save time and money. Early college, high school, that is where they can come out of school with an associate's degree the same time that they finish with their high school diploma. So if they're going for a bachelor's degree, they already knocked out half of their education right there, with little to no money out of your pocket. Community college and junior colleges, they have really flourished, within the past 10 to 20 years. They have all kinds of different programs. They have all kinds of different trades, certificate programs, associate's degrees. There are even community colleges now that offer bachelor's degrees in certain programs. I know here in the Austin, Texas area, a couple of years ago, Austin Community College was just approved to offer bachelor's degrees in nursing. And they're in the process of getting approved to offer bachelor's degrees in, I believe it's computer programming or computer science or something like that. Another thing that people use community colleges for are to get your core curriculum courses at a fraction of the cost and then transfer those to the four-year university and continue on to get your bachelor's degree. So I think that every student and every parent should actually look at community colleges as an option for their students to start, because it may be a perfect fit to fit into your plan and especially save you some money. You have apprenticeships. So apprenticeships are kind of like on the job training. So you're actually working and you're making a paycheck. In a lot of apprenticeship programs, you actually earn college credit in the process. A couple of other things that you want to be considerate of is public versus private four-year universities, because there's a difference, and especially when it comes to the cost. Now, just in general, public universities are less expensive than private universities, but sometimes private schools, they have more money in scholarships and financial aid to offer to students that might offset the cost. So it's not a cookie cutter situation, it's really a case-by-case situation, and additional things that you need to consider when you're considering which school that you're gonna choose. And then there's for-profit proprietary schools. Those are the schools that run all the ads and commercials, and they're in the business of like making money for their shareholders. Yes, they offer certain types of like trade degrees and stuff like that, but a lot of times those same programs can be found at community colleges or even a university for a lot cheaper. So I'm not saying that it can't fit into your plan. I'm just saying be careful with the for-profit institutions, because the federal government actually had to start closing a lot of them down because they're just taking advantage of students. So just be careful with them. The in-state versus out-of-state. Sometimes a lot of students, they want to go to a school out of state, but you have to understand that you're going to be paying out-of-state fees, right? So because if you're in the state of Texas and you're paying into the tax system, when your student goes to a school within the state of Texas, they get to pay in-state fees. And if you go out of state, it's going to just make the cost of the tuition and fees kind of balloon or inflate. So that's another thing to keep in mind when you and your student are choosing what school that you want to go to. And this is just, there's definitely a lot more than these, but I'm just kind of giving y'all a quick overview. The tuition assistance programs, kind of the best example of this is employer tuition assistance programs. So a lot of students, what they'll do is if they want to get into, let's say they want to get into the healthcare field, right? Then they will get a certificate or an associate's degree, and they will get into an entry-level position with a job. And then their employer, they have tuition assistance programs where they actually help pay for that individual to continue on with their education to get their bachelor's degree if they need it, or any kind of additional training. So it's like the employers pay for the rest of their education, and that saves them a lot of money. And they're working in the process, so they're making a living while they're doing that. So there's all kinds of tuition assistance programs that you can find out there. I'll give another example. In my area, there's this organization called Capital Idea. And if you qualify for, to be in their program, you can get they pay for all of your education. They pay for tuition and fees, they pay for books, they pay for transportation, they pay for childcare, they pay for everything all the way up until you finish your associate's degree. So there are probably some programs like that in your area too. It's just something to kind of keep an eye out for. Real quick, I know I'm kind of breezing through that kind of fast. Is there any questions or concerns about anything that we talked about so far? Let me check the chat real quick.
Yeah, I'm monitoring the chat. So please,
Okay.
parents, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and then we'll break and be able to ask those questions to Mr. Washington.
Okay, and real quick, for the parents that are in the room, I want to hear from you. Just drop in the chat, or you can say it out loud, just unmute yourself. But as you're talking with your child or planning out the college path or the career path, anything that I've talked about right now, as far as like the path, like what type of institution, what type of degree they want to get, what have y'all discussed in your plans? Like, do you already know what route your child is going to take? Have y'all talked about that? Or what are y'all planning to do based on the conversation that you've had with your students? Or are you still deciding? Haven't narrowed anything down yet? Anybody want to drop in the chat how their planning process has been going? And if not, that's okay. We will continue to monitor the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next section. So at TWC, we definitely have a lot of tools and resources. Well, before I get to that, one of the things that you have to consider as well is a type of funding. How are you going to pay for this education or this training that your child needs, right? So with financial aid, there's 4 main types. There's grants, there's scholarships, work study and student loans. So grants and scholarships, that's typically money you don't have to pay back. Work study as well. The most popular type of grant is the Pell Grant, which a lot of people are familiar with. And now in the state of Texas, it's a requirement for students to complete the FAFSA in order to graduate high school. So completing the FAFSA is how you gain access to a lot of the grants, scholarships, and student loans. I see somebody in the chat, they put that their child is in the early college high school for an associate's, planning on a bachelor's degree in grad school. That's amazing. I wish they had early college high school when I was coming up as a student, because that's definitely something I feel like a lot of students should take advantage of. So good job on getting your student involved with that. So scholarships, I'm glad that y'all were talking about scholarships before I started speaking. And y'all are absolutely correct to start as early as 9th grade and keep those scholarship lists, because a lot of scholarships you can apply to year after year, and just keep tweaking those essay prompts, just keep tweaking the resume, your co-curricular profile, just kind of like the volunteer experience and the leadership experience, the organizations and clubs that your students are involved in through high school. Just keep updating that and keep applying for those scholarships every single year, starting in the 9th grade, because that is free money. Work study programs, that is federal money that students get for working on campus. So they have different student positions on campus, and they pay pretty good too. I think a lot of them pay like around $15 an hour now. So they could be working in the library, they could be working in the admissions office, they could be working in the student life office. It's a part-time job. And the cool thing about work study is that a lot of times that they will allow you to work on your schoolwork while you're on the clock, right? When it's not too busy. So that's a good program. Now, student loans is definitely something that has to be used responsibly. As a lot of y'all know, we're dealing with kind of like a student loan debt crisis in this country. So if you have to use student loans, then that's perfectly fine. A lot of people do. I have to use student loans as well. But you have to understand the different types of student loans and your ability to accept some and not accept others, and just use it responsibly so that student loan balance doesn't balloon on you. Does anybody have any questions about the financial aid, grants, scholarships, student loans?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really pertaining to student loans, but going back to what we were talking about earlier, the other options that are available to children that may not be going to college or may not see that as a part of their future. What sessions or what exposure will the next gen group be bringing to them to kind of see those options, hear about those options, more details about those options as opposed to the college route? Is there any plans for maybe putting some of that information in front of them with some different speakers or?
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things, I'm pretty sure Mr. Jenkins has a lot of things planned, and I'll definitely let him chime in. But in a few minutes, I'm actually going to show you all where you can find a lot of those things with the TWC Tools and Resources, with some of the career exploration tools. So yeah, so give me an example of what you're talking about. So are you talking about just occupations that don't require any education beyond a high school? Or are you talking about things that require like a trade certificate or something like that?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Those certification programs, those trades.
Okay.
And you
Okay.
even mentioned military, but just trying to put some of those other things in front of them just so they can make informed decisions. Because I think right now, like for my child, all he really knows about is college, because I went to college and that's kind of what I've been preaching and teaching. But I have to also realize that he may not be college material. Not saying that he's a freshman right now too, so we're still kind of early, but still, I just want to make sure he's seeing all of the different options. And so I just wanted to kind of understand maybe what was the plan with this program to try to expose the children to a little bit more than just the college route.
Okay. Yeah, I will definitely touch on some of that later. I didn't know if Mr. Jenkins, you wanted to.
Yeah, let's go with what you have, and I definitely will address that because we do have some things on tap that I definitely can share with our parents.
Okay. And thank you for being open-minded about, other options, because I've run into a lot of parents that are kind of closed-minded when it comes to their kids going to college, because they just want them, that's what they did, that's what they know, so they want their kids to do it. But it's
right.
So options out there, like, for today. So
exactly. Thanks.
All right. And so one of the things, one of the new resources we have is a document called Financial Resources and Planning for Education and Training Beyond High School. So as you can see, where everybody's starting to change their language about, it's not just college, but education and training beyond high school. And what I want to do is, my lighting is horrible in here, I'm sorry. What I want to do is kind of show you what that looks like. Let me see. All right, so this is, we actually just got these printed up. So of course, it starts with creating your plan. So it kind of everything we just talked about, just the planning process, it kind of walks you how to do that, right? And as you can see, we cover a lot of different things. So we even cover 8 low-cost options to consider. So we go into detail about, tuition assistance program. We have the workforce training programs, right? Which is kind of like what we were talking about, the options besides college. And we even have live links in here that will take you to the website that'll give you more information. We have a little information in here about the military options, and we'll touch on that a little more in a minute. The apprenticeship programs, there's a link in here to where you can find apprenticeships, which apprenticeships and internships are very good options for students that are wanting to go into the trade programs. And there's a lot of apprenticeships and internships now becoming available for things like in the STEM field and healthcare and education. So it's not just kind of like those manual labor occupations anymore. It's a lot of different occupations. Information for foster youth, right? And there's some additional benefits for foster youth. And also it goes kind of in detail about financial aid. It talks about state aid, and it gives you information on the different types of scholarships, about FAFSA. It kind of talks about how your financial need is calculated, right? Based on your financial need and the cost of the attendance. It talks about the different types of student loans, like the subsidized versus unsubsidized, and how that affects, how you pay the interest on those loans, how it accrues interest. And so what I'll do is I'll send a lead. We have a financial aid checklist and some other links to resources. So what I'll do is I'll send an email to Mr. Jenkins and make sure that this document is in there so he can send it out to everybody. So it's something that you can go through in your spare time, and it'll connect you to more information on all these different opportunities that I'm talking about. All right, and then let's see. So the Texas Workforce Commission, we want to do our best to help connect students and any individual in the state of Texas, connect them to that training, that education, that employment, right? So a couple of ways we do that, especially for students, is to our main website. We have a couple of different tools. Two of our most popular ones are Texas Career Check and Texas Reality Check. Has anybody ever used Texas Reality Check?
Yeah, it's a really good tool, really good.
Have you used that with your students?
Yeah, what we did is that we have gone and pushed into some classrooms, and we've shown them that because you have a lot of students who say what career they want to go into, and then you ask them, well, why do you want to go into that field? And to be candid, which I was their age too, they would say, well, I heard you can make a lot of money.
Right.
Career. And so we said, oh, really? Okay. So then we bring up the site, and then we take them to that particular field, and we show them exactly what the average salary is for that field that they're wanting to go into. And, there can sometimes be a lot of shock and awe that it may not be what they thought it was when it comes to the salary. So no, it's a really good site.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that is and we're gonna dive more into that site, the Texas Career Check. That is where you can find a lot of that specific occupation information. And the Texas Reality Check, Paris, this is a good one to sit down and do with your students, because a lot of times students, they don't know what life is like as an adult, like when you're paying your own bills and you have your own family and things of that nature. So this site actually will walk them through that. So it says, Texas Reality Check will show you how much your living expenses will cost you and the amount of money you will need to earn to pay for them. So it's kind of in reverse. Instead of looking at a career, finding out how much they pay, and then going that route, this is kind of reverse. This is like, okay, what kind of lifestyle do I want to have? And then how much is that going to cost? And then what are the careers that can provide that type of salary? So what I'm going to do is just to give you a quick example, so you can do this with your students. You just click on here, select what city. It's only Texas specific. I'm going to choose Dallas just because you all are in Dallas County, because this is the DeSoto ISD, correct?
Yes, in Dallas County, you're correct.
Okay, so as you can see, it walks them through the housing, and I'm just gonna go through here and click random stuff just to show you how it works. So it talks about the utilities, so they're gonna have to decide, what utilities do they want: electricity, water, mobile phone, internet, or cable. They're gonna have to think about, are they gonna eat fast food every day? Or are they gonna eat at home sometimes? Or they're gonna only dine out at restaurants? Transportation, do they want like a used car, a new car? Are they gonna ride public transportation everywhere? So they have to think about that. They're gonna have to think about their clothing, basic clothing. If you're gonna have a job, you need work clothes. Some people have a shopping habit. They like the shoes, they like all the clothes. So some people might want to choose the frequent shopper option. And then it even goes into healthcare. So a lot of students, they don't know. So this is an opportunity to have conversations with your students about some of these, real life adult things that they're going to have to pay attention to. So we're talking about healthcare, vision, dental. And then we're going to talk about personal care. So stuff like gym memberships, hygiene, things of that nature, massages, if they want that kind of lifestyle, entertainment. Are they just going to stay at home and, sit and watch TV every day? Or are they going to want to go out sometimes? This tab, it talks about, okay, if you're going to have a pet, okay, you want to have a pet, that's going to cost you some money. Do you want to go on vacations from time to time because you need to save for that? This one talks about student loans. And this one is where it's kind of, it depends on what route you take, but just this is based on just average information. So a bachelor's degree, if you go to a public school, then you might be paying close to $186 a month on your student loans. And then family, how many kids do you want? You plan to have 2 children, okay? Now, the only thing that this doesn't account for is, you know, if you're married, if you have a spouse, and this is a 2-income household. This is just based on single income. Savings, definitely want to be saving. I'm glad y'all are talking about financial literacy in your program, and because that's going to be very important. So once you do all of that, it adds up your total monthly expenses, right? And so it says, so your life in Dallas will require a minimum salary of $98,010. Can you afford that? So it kind of gives them a reality check on the lifestyle that they think they want to have, that they created, how much will it actually cost? And then they can click on explore occupations, and it'll give them a list of occupations that meet that minimum salary requirement. And so they can come up here and they can narrow it down by education level, right? So bachelor's degree or higher, associate's degree or post-secondary vocational training, on-the-job training, 1 to 2 years on the job training, or just work experience. So if I click associate's degree, it seems like one comes up, right? Air traffic controller, and their average annual salary is $139,000 a year, right? So this is a good way. It is a good way for them to do career exploration, because you can drill down. Let's just say mechanical engineer. They can drill down on this information. And then there's a job description. They talk about how you can get into the career field. A lot of them, they have videos that kind of like show what the day-to-day work of that occupation would be. They have information about the annual salary in Dallas compared to the entire state, compared to the nation. So they have a lot of information about the projected openings, the future openings, so they can get information about those occupations. So that's a good tool for career exploration, but also addressing it from a financial literacy standpoint. All right, and so the next thing I'm going to show you is Texas Career Check. So Texas Career Check, this is where you can explore different occupations, but you can also explore information about the schools, right? So under Explore Careers, you have occupation information, occupation trends, military occupations. You can compare occupations. The interest profiler is kind of like a career assessment. So if your student is still kind of just, maybe want to learn more about themselves, their skills, their abilities, their personality, they can come on, and there's about 60 questions on here, and it goes by pretty quick. And once they answer these questions, it'll give them feedback just about their personality type. And then it'll give them a list of careers that is a good match for their personality type. And then they can do career exploration based on those careers. Excuse me. So the occupation trends, this is a good one. So for example, if we go to the Dallas region, so here we have the top 25 occupations making above the median wage of $37,000, ranked by highest projected numbers of jobs added due to growth for the period of 2016 through 2026. So what jobs are going to be in high demand in the near future? So right, we see right now in your area, registered nurses is going to be in high demand. There's going to be over almost 17,000 openings. These opening projections, that's statewide, but the ranking is specific to the Dallas region. So truck drivers, software developers, accountants, auditors. So this is a way that they can see a quick snapshot list of what the higher demand careers are going to be. And say we click on the second one here, just as an example. Again, you can drill down on here and it'll give information about the job description, the annual wage, the education level. So I would probably say about half of the jobs on that list of 25 do not require a bachelor's degree, right? So this one right here is a high school diploma, but there's several that require a certificate or an associate's degree, and they're going to be in high demand. So they have the job task on there. They have a lot of them have a video again, and the employment outlook, and they'll talk about what kind of skills and abilities that you need to have. So some of this is talking about soft skills, right? So it's talking about time management, reading comprehension, speaking, critical thinking. So it gives you a lot of information about what the particular jobs require. Now, if you want to do just some general career information, you can click on this first tab, occupation information, and you can do you can search for a particular career. You can do an advanced search, so you can narrow it down by how much money you want to make. You can even narrow it down by a specific industry, say government or finance. You can narrow all of that down, and you can click on the information, and you can get the same detailed information. All right, and then with the education, under the education tab, you can have school information, programs to study, compare school, or created a high school graduation plan. So this was really cool. Well, let me go to programs of study, right? So say your student wants to do something in construction. So you want to do something in construction, you want to do something with plumbing, right? So you can click on here, and then what it will do, it'll bring up a list of colleges and universities that have programs for that specific plumbing credential that your student needs to get. And as you can see, these colleges and universities, they're from all over the United States. You can click on state to kind of filter it, right? And it's weird because this particular industry didn't bring up any Texas schools. I'm not sure why that is, but they also have occupations that are related to that industry. So plumbers, septic tank, and I just chose one that's not really that common, but you can go down that list and find out that information for any one of those. And when the cool thing about that as well is you can actually click on the school. You can drill down on the school, and it'll give you information about the school. It'll lead you to their website. It'll tell you how to apply. It'll tell you their admissions process. It'll tell you how much their tuition is. It'll give you information about scholarships for their school, all kinds of information about the school. So whatever school your child is interested in, they can come here and get detailed information and figure out how to apply, and also apply for scholarships. And anything they're doing here, they can print it, they can save a PDF, anything that they want to do to save the information and come back to it, they can do that as well. Any questions about those two tools, Texas Career Check or Texas Reality Check, before I move on? Let me see what's next.
Any questions, parents?
All right, so Okay. So another one of our main tools is called workintexas.com. So this is primarily a job searching website. It's kind of like Indeed or ZipRecruiter or any popular online job search tool that you always hear about. Now, I actually believe that we actually updated this tool not too long ago, and I actually like it way better than Indeed or anything that any of the other options that are out there, right? So you can create a profile on here. Your student can create a profile on here. And from the student perspective, a lot of students use this because they have a tool in here that'll help them develop their resume. So it'll walk them step by step through each component of the resume, and it'll help them create it, and it'll give them tips on how to improve it, how to word it. And they can save their resume, they can print the resume out, they can email it. And it's also good for resumes are not just good for finding jobs, but they're also good for applying to scholarships too. So even if your student doesn't have a lot of work experience, they can create a resume that's kind of like a co-curricular profile form to where it kind of outlines their leadership experience or volunteer experience, if they've been involved with clubs or organizations, just all the different things that they've done with those opportunities, and they can outline it just like a resume. And when you submit that type of stuff along with your scholarship, that just improves your chances of helping you stand out from the crowd. So students use this site for that as well. So we already talked about Texas Career Check. Another one is the Career Information Hotline. And there's about 10,000 students every year that use this Career Information Hotline. And it's a 24/7 automated hotline. You or your students can call this hotline and you can request information on up to 3 careers or 3 colleges and universities. And they will put together a package for you of all kinds of helpful information, and they will mail it to you. And you can call more than once. You can anyone can call. So, if you're looking for something more tangible that you want sent to you, and this information you can open up and look at, this is a good way to do that. All right, and last but not least is the Texas Internship Challenge. And I think I'm going to go to the website to show you all that. All right, so also on our main site, which has the Texas Reality Check, Texas Career Check, and all of our other tools and resources, they have the Texas Internship Challenge. Oh, let me go back. So as you can see, it says the Texas Internship Challenge is a partnership between the Texas Workforce Commission, the Texas Education Agency, and the Higher Education Coordinating Board, who challenge employers to offer paid internships and make it easy for students to search and apply for them. So it's an initiative that we have with employers to encourage them to create more internships. And so this website right here is a way to connect students with those internships. And what you do is you go on here and you create a profile. There's not much I can do on here without creating a profile, but if I go to the guest view, you can kind of see some of the resources. So as there's information like how we can help you, a directory of their services. They have a job search, which is just like searching for the internships. They also have a resume builder on here, and they also have a way you can connect with the recruiter. And a lot of other helpful information and links on here as well. But it's a good way to connect with internships. All right, any other questions or concerns? Because I believe I'm getting close to my time. But there's my information. Again, my name is Ronnie Washington. There is my email address and this career information email address that'll go to the entire education outreach team. And there's our website, the lmci.state.texas.us. And what I'll do is I'll send an email to Mr. Jenkins with all of the important links and the financial resource guide that I showed you all. And so he can send it out to all you, you can have access to it. Any other questions?
Any questions, parents, for Mr. Washington before we let him go? We definitely want to appreciate him for the time he's taken in order to share this great information. And to the question that Ms. Pearson, you asked earlier in regards to, and I thank you for being candid about your son. At the end of the day, parents know their children, they know their students. And so college is not for every student, which is fine. And so if you know that, excuse me, if you know that college is not the chosen path for your student, then by all means, we do have other tracks and other paths that they can take. And this is just a great load of information that we can share with you guys to start that conversation with your student to find out if that's the track that they need to be on. And if not, let them know that it's okay, that there are other ways that you can take. So what we are going to be doing in Next Gen is that we're going to utilize this information that Mr. Washington has given us, as well as we're going to be partnering with our CTE program at DeSoto High School in order to shed some light on the pathways and endorsements that we have that the students would need to select, so that we can make sure that all of our students, if at all possible, when they graduate, they would have graduated with some type of certification. There are so many, there are like over 4,000 certifications that are out there that our students can obtain. And some of them are very simple as signing up for it, sitting in maybe one class or taking a small pre-assessment, getting some information, a webinar, something of that sort. And then after that, do the post-assessment, and then they'll be certified. And I do believe that all of our students in early college, they are able to get a certification in Microsoft Office, which is something that they can utilize to put on their resumes when they're all going to school and everything else. And I think that will be good for them solely because they're going to be utilizing Microsoft Office when they go to college. Even if they go to work, whatever the case might be, then that's something that they would need to know, so they could actually be a step above some of the other candidates for the jobs is looking for, because they would know the ins and outs of Excel. There's only so much I know how to do in Excel. I'll be honest. And so having that certification, I'm sure that they would have been able to master those programs in Microsoft. So again, we're going to be trying to give that information to the students, but parents, we do need your help. And the way that you can help us is that we're sending out the monthly newsletters with information. We're sending out scholarship information. We're also trying to have these parent workshops that we would like for you guys to attend, because we think that all of the facilitators and the information we're giving you guys is very valuable and would be a great asset for you and your students. So again, before we let Mr. Washington go, does anyone have any questions or any concerns or anything for myself or Mr. Washington at this time? All right, so I would take it that
well, I want to say something.
Yes,
I just want to say thank you very much for putting this workshop on. It was very informational. And I think that the tools that you're providing are really going to help our students. So I just want to encourage you to continue to do so in any way that myself or my husband can help, let us know, or the PTSA. We can help you as well. And so that partnership is very important to us. And we just want to encourage you and say thank you.
Thank you very much. And I am a member of the PTSA. And so I would encourage anyone who has not joined, it's $10. But you get a lot of valuable information, as well as, not only district level, but you also get information community wide for resources that you may be able to utilize, or maybe even connect with some people in DeSoto that you ordinarily would not have connected with, that would be able to help you out in something that you may need. So again, definitely a plug for the PTSA. But again, yeah, we're trying to do everything that we possibly can The one thing that I would ask for you guys is because we do like to track our data to make sure that the workshops and things that we're putting on are being beneficial to our community and to our parents. Please take the opportunity to fill out the sign-in sheet so that I can keep track of how many parents showed up and things like that. And that lets me know whether or not I need to bring this. I'm definitely going to be bringing this workshop back, but I just wanted to make sure that we have everyone sign in so that we can definitely track that that data, because going forward, Next Generation Gear Up is going to be very mindful about our data, because we want to make sure that if parents have a complaint, if parents want more information on certain things, then we'll be able to show them. The data shows us that, well, we put this on, but we didn't have a lot of parents to show up. Or we did put this on, we had a lot of parents to show up. So we think that this will be beneficial going forward. So just know that data drives everything. And so that information is going to help us going forward. So again, I want to appreciate Mr. Washington. We've kept a lot of his time and we're still 5 minutes early. So I thank him for being timely. I thank him for giving us valuable information. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone who did come. Please fill out the sign-in sheet. And by all means, if you have any questions about Next Generation Gear Up, or if you need some more information, feel free to email myself. Again, I'm Nathan T. Jenkins II, and my email address is nathan.jenkins@desotoisd.org. And I'm the voice that you hear. So sometimes try not to block us too. I know you guys probably get a lot of calls and everything else from the district, but I promise you, I will not bore you with the messages and emails that I send out to you guys. It's all for your students. Just trying to make sure that we get them exactly where they need to be post-secondary once they leave DeSoto High School. All right. Any final questions, comments, concerns, prayer requests, praise reports? All right. Well, with that being said, all minds clear. I do appreciate everybody, and I hope that everyone has a blessed night. Be safe. And we'll see you again for next